My name is Sarah Irving. And last month, I learned something life-changing. Sometimes the strongest way to fight back against family manipulation isn't shouting, it's signing the right legal papers at the right time. Tell me, have you ever been called selfish for holding on to something that's rightfully yours? Have you ever been pressured to give it up for the so-called golden child who already has everything? That's exactly what my parents did to me. When they discovered I had inherited my grandmother's $750,000 house, they didn't just ask me to share it. No. They showed up with a realtor, ready to force the sale. And when I resisted, they threatened to disown me. But here's what they didn't know. I had already sold it. 3 days earlier. To someone they would never expect. When they saw who walked into that house, my mother actually screamed. Before I tell you how my sister's very own CEO became my secret weapon, take a second to hit like and subscribe. If you've ever faced family pressure, this story will hit home. And let me know in the comments, are you watching this late at night like me, or with your morning coffee? Now, let's rewind. I grew up as the oldest daughter. In most families, that would mean respect, responsibility, maybe even favoritism. But in the Irving household? Birth order meant nothing compared to who could charm their way into our parents' hearts. And that person was always Melissa. At 7 in the morning, I was catching the public bus to school. Meanwhile, Mom and Dad drove Melissa to Preston Academy, a private school that cost more than most people's yearly income. Sarah's independent, Mom always said. She doesn't need what Melissa needs. Translation? Sarah doesn't deserve what Melissa deserves. I remember showing Dad my straight-A report card. He looked at it for maybe 2 seconds, before asking, "Did you see Melissa's art project? She got selected for the district showcase." My perfect grades? Expected. Melissa's glitter-covered poster board? A miracle. Ballet lessons. Violin tutors. Summer camps in Europe. Melissa got them all. I once asked if I could join the debate team. The fee was $200. Dad said we couldn't afford it. That same week, they bought Melissa a $3,000 MacBook for her creativity. But there was one person who saw through everything, Grandma Eleanor. While my parents fawned over Melissa's rehearsals, Grandma would slip quietly into my room. "How's my brilliant girl?" she'd ask, genuinely curious about my robotics club and my part-time library job. One night, after my parents skipped my National Honor Society induction to attend Melissa's dance recital, I finally asked Grandma the question that haunted me. Why do they love her more? She pulled me into her arms, her lavender perfume wrapping me in safety. They don't love her more, sweetheart. They love themselves more. Melissa reflects what they wish they were. You, Sarah, reflect who they really are. Hardworking. Practical. Unadorned. And that terrifies them. I built my life on those words. While Melissa floated through college on our parents' dime, changing majors 6 times, I worked 3 jobs to get through state school. She graduated late, barely scraping by. I graduated with honors in accounting. Boring? Maybe. Practical? Absolutely. The day I got my CPA license, the only person who celebrated with me was Grandma. My parents? They were in Cabo, celebrating Melissa's engagement to a man she'd known for 3 months. The engagement ended 4 months later, of course. Years of being overlooked had built up scars. But some moments cut deeper than others. Like my 25th birthday. I'd hinted about wanting a family dinner. Nothing big. Just acknowledgement. That morning, my phone was silent. No calls. No texts. Around noon, I checked Facebook. There it was, Mom's post. Shopping day with my baby girl. So blessed. The picture showed her and Melissa at Nordstrom. Bags in hand. Champagne glasses raised. It wasn't even Melissa's birthday month. When I graduated summa cum laude, my parents sent a 2-word text, "Congrats." Proud. When Melissa finally graduated, 2 years late, they threw her a 50-person party with a professional photographer. The invitations called it a celebration of our shining star's journey. But Grandma never forgot me. She showed up with lasagna when I passed my CPA exam. She framed my first business card. She kept a folder of my college essays and bragged about them at her book club. "You're building something real, Sarah," she told me one Sunday. "Your parents might not see it, but I do. And when I'm gone, you'll have more than just my love to remember me by." I thought she meant jewelry. Maybe photos. I never imagined she meant the house. The Maple Street house. 3 bedrooms. 2 baths. A blooming garden. Memories in every corner. The house where I baked with Grandma. Where she taught me patience in the garden. Where she made me believe I was worth something. So when Attorney Mills read the will and named me the sole beneficiary, it felt like finally someone had chosen me. But in my family, nothing that belonged to me ever stayed mine for long. The calls started almost immediately. "Sarah, sweetheart, it's too much responsibility for one person. That house is too big for you. Melissa needs it more. She's starting her new life." My studio apartment, with black mold and a landlord who considered hot water optional, apparently didn't count as a life. The pressure built quickly. Text messages at 6 in the morning. Calls until midnight. Every one of them saying the same thing. Family means sharing. Don't be selfish. Grandma would be disappointed in your greed. That last one nearly made me laugh. Grandma, the same woman who once told me, "Your parents would sell your shadow if Melissa needed the money." Then came Melissa's tears. Always the tears. She sobbed about her new boyfriend. About how they were ready to build a life but couldn't afford a house in this market. Her luxury apartment, paid for by our parents, didn't seem to count. Soon, the entire extended family joined the campaign. Aunt Helen. Uncle Robert. Cousins I hadn't spoken to in years. Every message read like a script Mom had written. Think about what's best for everyone. Melissa has always been fragile. You're the strong one. Don't let property come between family. Finally, Dad sent the ultimatum. Either you agree to sell and split the proceeds, or you are no longer welcome in this family. Your choice. I stared at that message for a long time. No longer welcome in this family? As if I'd ever truly been welcome in the first place. And then, my phone buzzed. A different kind of message. "Sarah, this is Marcus Chin. I heard you might be selling a property on Maple Street. I'm very interested. Can we talk?" Marcus Chin. My old college study partner. Now the CEO of the very company where Melissa had just been promoted. The universe, it seemed, had a wicked sense of humor. I looked at Dad's ultimatum. Then at Marcus's message. And for the first time in weeks, I smiled. They wanted me to sell? Fine. But they never said to whom. "Hi Marcus," I typed back. "Yes. Let's talk. But it needs to stay confidential." His reply came instantly. "Understood." And Sarah. I remember how they treated you in college. This time, you call the shots. Have you ever been the scapegoat in your family? The one expected to sacrifice everything while the golden child gets handed the world? Tell me in the comments. I want to hear your story. Now, let me tell you about the day everything changed. The day my parents thought they had cornered me, but walked straight into my trap instead. Attorney Mills's conference room felt smaller with my whole family crammed inside. Mom and Dad sat across from me like prosecutors. Melissa perched between them, tissues already in hand. Even Aunt Helen had shown up for backup. The mahogany table reflected their determined faces. They had come ready for war. Before we begin, Dad announced, cutting off Attorney Mills. We've brought our own realtor. He gestured to a woman in a red blazer. Mrs. Patterson has cash buyers waiting. That's premature, Attorney Mills said evenly. Not at all, Mom snapped. We're here to settle this as a family. The will was already settled, I reminded them quietly. Wills can be contested, Dad shot back. Undue influence. Mental capacity. We've spoken to lawyers. Melissa broke into well-timed sobs. I can't believe you're making us do this, Sarah. After everything our parents have done for you. I wanted to laugh. Or maybe cry. Instead, I kept my face neutral. Grandma's words echoed in my head, never let them see your next move. Sarah's being selfish, Mom declared to the room. One daughter hoarding property while the other struggles. I just want fairness, Melissa whimpered. Is that too much to ask? Mrs. Patterson slid papers across the table. If we list today, I can have it sold within a week. Sarah hasn't agreed to sell, Attorney Mills reminded them. She will, Dad said firmly. His tone was the same one that had controlled me my entire childhood. Because if she doesn't, she's out. Out of this family. No holidays. No birthdays. No future grandchildren. Nothing. The room went still. Even Aunt Helen shifted uncomfortably. Mom reached across to squeeze Melissa's hand. Your sister needs this, Sarah. Her new position requires her to entertain clients. She needs a proper house. The apartment you pay for? I asked softly. That's temporary, Mom snapped. And it's none of your business. Perhaps we should slow down, Attorney Mills started. But Dad cut her off. No. We should get Sarah to sign. Today. Now. I looked around the table. Their faces were smug, certain they had won. My phone buzzed in my pocket. A text from Marcus. Contract signed. Ready when you are. I stood up. Actually, there's something you all should know. Sit down, Sarah, Dad ordered. Not this time. The only thing you need to tell us is yes, Mom said coldly. Yes, you'll sell. Yes, you'll share with your sister. Yes, you'll stop being difficult. Melissa dabbed her eyes dramatically. I've already told Brad we might be house shopping soon. You're embarrassing me, Sarah. And that's when I smiled. Because they had no idea what was coming. High voltage. Brad. That was this month's soulmate. I wondered if he knew about Kevin from last month, or if Melissa had conveniently erased that part of her history, like she always did with her inconvenient truths. Your sister has worked so hard for her promotion, Aunt Helen chimed in. She deserves a house that reflects her new status. Unlike you, Dad added, his voice dripping with contempt. An accountant living in a studio apartment. What do you need with a 3-bedroom house for? Melissa tilted her head, smug. She probably just wants to rent it out. Make money off Grandma's death. It's disgusting. The irony of Melissa accusing anyone else of being money-hungry almost broke me. Almost. Mrs. Patterson, the realtor, slid the papers closer across the table. The offer is generous. More than fair market value. You'd each walk away with enough for a down payment. Each? I repeated, staring at her. The house is mine. Don't be technical, Mom snapped. Family shares. I laughed bitterly. Like you shared college tuition with me? Like you shared birthdays? Like you shared coming to my graduations? Here we go, Dad rolled his eyes. Poor Sarah and her grudges. You got Grandma's attention, Melissa accused. Every Sunday, every holiday, you monopolized her. The least you can do is share what she left behind. Attorney Mills shifted uncomfortably. The will is clear. Wills can be broken, Dad interrupted. His tone was sharp, confident. I've already spoken to lawyers. Undue influence is real. An old woman isolated by one granddaughter from the rest of her family. That's a lie, I said quietly. Is it? Mom shot back, leaning forward. You were always at her house. Always filling her head with stories about how unfair we were. Turning her against Melissa. My phone buzzed under the table. Marcus, en route. ETA 15 minutes. I looked back at my family, these people who shared my DNA but none of my struggles. They demanded everything while offering nothing. They didn't see my inheritance as Grandma's final gift, only as their entitlement. You want the house? I asked softly. Fine. Let's go see it. The room erupted. Suspicious murmurs, narrowed eyes. What are you playing at? Dad asked. No games, I said, checking my phone again. If you want the house so badly, let's do this properly. At the house. You should see what you're so desperate to take. It's not taking if it's family, Mom corrected, already grabbing her purse. Attorney Mills stood. I should remind everyone any decisions about the property will be made today. We're done waiting, Dad snapped. The convoy to Maple Street felt like a funeral procession. I drove alone. My parents, Melissa, and Mrs. Patterson rode together, no doubt whispering their final strategy. Attorney Mills followed in her Lexus, looking more uncomfortable by the mile. My phone rang through the car speakers. Marcus. You sure about this? They want to see the house? I replied. They're about to get their wish. The papers are filed. Recorded with the county yesterday. It's done, Marcus. I know, he said. How's the Tesla look? I glanced in the rearview mirror at my family's car tailing me. They'll see it soon enough. Parked in the driveway as we speak. See you in 10. Melissa's texts kept lighting up my phone. Just do the right thing. Don't embarrass yourself. Mom's blood pressure is up because of you. That last one made me laugh. Mom's blood pressure wasn't about me, it was about the thrill of stealing one more thing from me and handing it to Melissa. And then, as we turned onto Maple Street, there it was. Grandma's Victorian. The wraparound porch, the garden we planted together, the very porch where she told me, family isn't about blood. It's about choice. And parked in the driveway, gleaming like poetic justice, was a white Tesla Model S. Melissa's gasp was audible, even from my car. That's. I parked at the curb and got out slowly, watching their faces as realization sank in. Melissa's lips trembled. Mom squinted in confusion. Dad's face was already red, though he didn't yet know why. Whose car is that? Mom demanded. Melissa's voice came out in a whisper. That's my CEO's car. Your CEO? Dad turned to her. What would he be doing here? I walked toward the front steps, keys in my hand that no longer worked. Why don't we find out? Before I could even knock, the door opened. Actually, there's something you should know about the house, I said. We know everything we need to know, Dad snapped, shoving past me. It's a family asset being hoarded by. He stopped dead. Standing in the doorway was Marcus Chin. Effortlessly polished in casual but expensive clothes, radiating the kind of wealth you didn't have to announce. Mr. Chin? Melissa's voice cracked. What are you, why are you? Ms. Irving, Marcus nodded curtly to her, then turned to me with a warm smile. Sarah. Perfect timing. Someone explain what's happening, Mom demanded, her voice already losing confidence. Mrs. Patterson stepped forward eagerly. Mr. Chin, I'm Rebecca Patterson. I understand you're interested in. I'm not interested, Marcus cut her off smoothly. I'm the owner. Silence. Pure, shocked silence. That's impossible, Dad barked. This house belongs to Sarah. Belonged, Attorney Mills corrected. Past tense. 3 days ago, I added quietly. The sale was finalized 3 days ago. Melissa's face flickered through emotions like a broken slot machine, confusion, disbelief, fear, anger. You sold it? To my boss? Technically, to his investment company, Marcus said, professional as ever. All perfectly legal. Attorney Mills can confirm. Mills nodded. I reviewed the documents myself. Clean sale. Above market value. You can't do this. Mom shrieked. We're your family. Marcus's voice sharpened. Actually, she had every right. It was her property. Her decision. But we had buyers, cash offers. Mrs. Patterson protested. Bit late for that, Marcus said dryly. Dad's face was purple now. This is fraud. Manipulation. You took advantage of her. Marcus actually laughed. Mr. Irving, I paid $800,000 for this property. 20 above asking. If anyone was taken advantage of, it was me. But I wanted this house. This location. Why? Melissa whispered, panic in her voice. We're opening a satellite office, Marcus replied casually. For the marketing team. His eyes flicked to her. Your team, actually. Melissa swayed like she might faint. A satellite office? The company wants better work-life balance for our employees, Marcus explained. This house is perfect. Dad stepped forward aggressively. You manipulated my daughter. This was planned. Which daughter? Marcus asked. Because Sarah came to me with a clean offer. I paid above market value. Everything's documented. You knew each other before, Mom accused. We were study partners in college, I said evenly. Is it illegal to sell property to someone you know? When it's done to spite your family, yes. Dad shouted. Actually, no, Attorney Mills corrected. That's not illegal at all. By now, at least 30 neighbors had gathered on the sidewalk. Mrs. Kim from next door was filming with her phone. Mr. Peterson was grinning like it was free entertainment. "Sarah, please," Melissa begged suddenly, tears spilling. "This is my career. My future." "Your career is fine," Marcus told her coolly. "As long as you maintain professional standards." The threat was subtle, but Melissa understood it. Her tears stopped instantly. "You vindictive little," Mom started toward me. But Attorney Mills stepped between us. "I'd be very careful, Mrs. Irving. Assault charges won't help your situation," Attorney Mills warned. Dad's jaw clenched. "What situation?" "We'll contest the sale. Undue influence, fraud, something." "On what grounds?" Mills asked calmly. "That Sarah sold her legal property to a willing buyer? She did it to hurt Melissa." Mom cried. "I did it to secure my future," I corrected sharply. "The same way you've always secured Melissa's." Mrs. Patterson, the realtor, had been inching toward her car. "I should go. This is clearly a family matter." "Not anymore," Marcus said firmly. "This is a business matter now." I took a deep breath. My voice felt stronger than it ever had when speaking to them. "You haven't even heard the best part. I signed a 10-year lease, below market rent. I'll be living here. While you," I turned deliberately to Melissa, "work here." Melissa made a sound like a wounded animal. "You'll be here every day," I confirmed. "Every single day. Your big promotion, your fancy new office, it's in Grandma's house. With me as your landlord's tenant." "This can't be happening," Melissa whispered, gripping Mom's arm. He can't make me work here. That's harassment or something." Marcus's expression didn't waver. "Professional. Controlled. The marketing team needs collaborative space. This house has been designated for that purpose. You're welcome to request a transfer, of course, that would come with a demotion." The implication hung in the air like smoke. "You planned this together," Dad shouted, pointing between Marcus and me. "Conspiracy." "It's business," Marcus corrected coolly. Sarah needed a buyer. I needed a property. We both got what we wanted. "What about what we want?" Mom shrieked. "What about Melissa's needs? What about them?" I asked, almost curious. For 32 years, everything has been about Melissa's needs, her education, her hobbies, her dreams, her failures that you paid to fix. When was it ever about what I needed? You never needed anything. Dad shot back. You were always independent, strong. I felt something inside me snap. I wasn't independent by choice. I was independent by necessity. Because every dollar, every ounce of attention, every sacrifice went to her. Gasps rose from the crowd. Yes, there was a crowd. Half the neighborhood now. Phones out. Recording. Live streaming. We should discuss this privately, Attorney Mills suggested. No, I said firmly. They wanted to humiliate me publicly. They dragged a realtor here to force a sale. Let's keep it public. My phone buzzed. Marcus checked his, too. The movers are here, he announced. A truck pulled up. 2 men began unloading office furniture, desks, chairs, even a conference table. No, Melissa breathed. No, no, no. The team meeting is Monday, Marcus told her. 9 a.m. sharp. Don't be late. I won't work here. Melissa stamped her foot like the child she still was. I refuse. That's your choice, Marcus replied evenly. HR can discuss your exit package. You've ruined her life. Mom spat at me. Are you happy now? I haven't ruined anything, I said steadily. I sold my house. She still has her job. You still have your golden child. Nothing's changed, except that I'm no longer your doormat. Dad stepped closer, his voice low and venomous. You're done. Out of this family. I met his eyes. Promise? Neighbors leaned closer. Phones still filming. Mrs. Kim's daughter whispered something to her mom. Mr. Peterson's teenage son was live streaming. That's when I heard it. Eleanor would be so proud of you, Sarah, Mrs. Chin from down the street called out. The words stopped my mother cold. Proud of this betrayal? Mom hissed. Proud of her granddaughter finally standing up for herself, Mrs. Chin shot back. We all knew how you treated her. Eleanor told us everything. Mom's face flushed scarlet. The fact that Grandma had confided in her neighbors cut deeper than anything I could have said. By now, the Tesla wasn't alone in the driveway. 3 more luxury cars had pulled up: BMW, Audi, Mercedes. Marcus's leadership team. Executives I recognized from LinkedIn profiles stepped out, adjusting suits, assessing the property. What is this? Melissa demanded, panic in her voice. Site inspection, Marcus said. We're planning the layout. Your workspace will be in the front room, the one with the bay window. Grandma's reading room. The place where she sipped tea, waved at neighbors. Now it would be Melissa's office. A daily reminder of the home she tried to steal. Melissa's mouth opened, but nothing came out. Melissa. A woman's voice. Her department head, Jennifer Wu, walked over. Didn't expect to see you here. Getting a preview? Yes, Melissa stammered. Just looking. Sarah. Jennifer turned to me warmly. Marcus mentioned you'll be staying here. Wonderful. Your grandmother's house will be in good hands. Mom's eyes narrowed. You know each other? Yes, Jennifer said easily. Sarah consulted for our finance department last year. Brilliant work on tax restructuring. Dad's eyes widened. You've been planning this. No, I said firmly. I've been planning to survive you. The street fell quiet as Marcus stepped forward, his CEO voice carrying across the lawn. Mr. and Mrs. Irving, let me be crystal clear. 3 days ago, Sarah Irving sold me this property for $800,000. The sale is complete, filed with the county, and irreversible. You took advantage, Dad started. I took advantage of a fair market opportunity, Marcus cut in. Sarah needed a buyer who would respect her attachment to this home. I needed a location. We both won. And Melissa? Mom's voice cracked. Which daughter? Marcus asked, his tone sharp. Because from what I've observed, you only care about one. Melissa's mascara-streaked face turned desperate. Mr. Chen, please. She's my sister. Can't we work something out? We already have, Marcus said coldly. You'll report here Monday. Sarah will reside upstairs under her lease agreement. And if there's any harassment, HR will handle it. Immediately. Harassment? Melissa gasped. She's my sister. Who you tried to rob, Jennifer Wu said flatly. That ends now. The neighbors ate it up. Mr. Peterson was actually eating popcorn. This is extortion. Dad yelled. No, Attorney Mills said clearly. This is consequences. Something your family has never faced. Janet. Mom gasped. You're supposed to be neutral. I am neutral, Mills replied. But I'm also honest. Your mother, Eleanor, specifically excluded you from this property. She told me, and I quote, Linda and Robert will try to take this from Sarah. Don't let them. The silence was suffocating. Grandma said that? My voice shook. Mills nodded. She knew exactly what she was doing. She also knew you'd need protection from family pressure. That's why she insisted on the will's exact language, no sharing clauses, no override provisions. Just Sarah. You turned her against us. Mom accused. No, Mrs. Kim cut in loudly. Eleanor just finally admitted what we all saw. The birthday parties for Melissa, while Sarah stood in the background. The favoritism. The neglect. Everyone here knew. That's private family business. Dad roared. Not when you're screaming on my new lawn, Marcus shot back. And legally, you're trespassing. Unless Sarah invites you in, you need to leave. All eyes turned to me. My family. The neighbors. Marcus. His team. Everyone waited. Attorney Mills pulled out a file. Here's the deed transfer, filed with Santa Clara County 3 days ago. Purchase agreement notarized. Wire cleared. Every document in order. Dad's voice cracked. You knew about this? I knew Sarah was selling, Mills replied. It's not my job to keep you informed. Family has no legal standing here. Marcus raised his phone. $800,000 wired. Want to see the receipt? This is disgusting. Mom hissed. Using money to destroy family bonds. No, Marcus replied. The only thing destroyed here is your assumption that you could control Sarah forever. Melissa's face twisted as the truth sank in. Her boss owned her office. Her sister lived upstairs. The house she wanted for herself had become her daily prison. There's more, I said quietly, steadying my voice. My lease has a clause. Right of first refusal. If Marcus ever sells, I can buy the house back. At the exact price he paid. What? Dad's head snapped toward me. Attorney Mills explained, it means Sarah is more than a tenant. She's the future owner. With legal protections. That's, Mom struggled for words. That's planning, I said. Something you never taught me. But Grandma did. She told me once, the best revenge isn't emotional. It's contractual. Marcus smiled. Your grandmother was a wise woman. She was, I said, locking eyes with my parents. She saw what you never did. I wasn't weak because I was quiet. I was patient. Watching, learning, waiting. Waiting for what? Melissa asked, her voice sharp. For the moment you tried to take the one thing that was truly mine, I said, gesturing at the house, the papers, the witnesses. And now, here we are. Melissa's face shifted as reality sank in. Let me get this straight, she said slowly, her marketing brain finally catching up. I have to work here? In this house. My office will be in Grandma's reading room, and you'll be living upstairs? Correct, Marcus replied without hesitation. And if I refuse? That's your choice, Marcus said calmly. But refusing a reasonable work assignment would be insubordination. This isn't reasonable, Melissa snapped. This is punishment. No, Marcus corrected, this is business. Jennifer Wu, her department head, spoke up. This property was chosen for strategic reasons: proximity to client hubs, residential creative space. Your personal history with the house is irrelevant. Irrelevant? Mom shrieked. My daughter has to work in the house she should have inherited. Should have? I asked coldly. Based on what? Being born second? Being prettier? Being your favorite? She needs it more. Dad shouted. No, I said firmly. She wants it more. There's a difference. I stepped forward, my voice steel. I need stability. I need freedom from your manipulation. Melissa just wants another toy you'll buy her. And this time, you couldn't. How dare you? Mom lunged toward me, but Marcus blocked her. Mrs. Irving, you're trespassing on private property, Marcus warned. Leave now, or I'll call the police. You wouldn't dare, Dad spat. Marcus already had his phone out. Santa Clara Police? Yes, I need assistance with trespassers at 427 Maple Street. The cruiser appeared minutes later. Blue and red lights reflecting off my grandmother's windows. My parents froze. Mom grabbed Dad's arm. We're leaving. But this isn't over. Actually, I said, it is. The contracts are signed. Melissa starts here Monday. And I'll be living my life on my terms. Melissa laughed bitterly. Your life? You're just a tenant. With a 10-year lease at below market rent and the right to buy it back, I reminded her. Which is more than you'll ever have. The police stood waiting. My parents backed toward their car. You've chosen strangers over family, Mom spat, her final weapon. No, I corrected. I've finally chosen myself over people who never chose me. Melissa's eyes burned into mine. When he gets tired of you, when you're all alone, remember this. You did this. I will, I said. Every morning when I wake up in Grandma's house. Every evening when I tend her garden. Every time I don't have to beg for scraps of respect from people who should have loved me equally. They left. Mom crying for show. Dad muttering about lawyers. Melissa shell-shocked. But the fallout was immediate. Within an hour, Mom posted on Facebook, when money matters more than a mother's love, some daughters are just born cruel. 15 minutes later, Aunt Helen called. Sarah, what happened? Your mom's saying you sold the house out of spite. I sold my house to someone who offered above market, I said simply. The fact that it's Melissa's CEO? Coincidence. Helen laughed, a deep, unrestrained laugh. Coincidence, my ass. Good for you. Eleanor would be cackling. The family group chat exploded, cousins picking sides, uncles threatening lawsuits they couldn't afford, aunts clutching pearls they didn't own. But the best part? Mrs. Kim added me to the neighbors' group chat. Messages flooded in. Finally, someone stood up to them. Eleanor always said Sarah was the smart one. Did you see Robert's face? Priceless. Monday came like Christmas morning. At 8:58, Melissa pulled up. She sat in her car for 5 full minutes, psyching herself up. When she finally stepped out, she glanced up at my window. I waved. The look on her face was worth every miserable family dinner I'd ever suffered through. By lunch, she knocked on my door. "Can we talk?" I let her in. She looked around my upstairs sanctuary. My books. My plants. My peace. "This isn't fair," she whispered. "What isn't?" "You living here. Me working here. It's psychological torture." "No," I corrected. "It's consequences. You tried to steal my inheritance. Now you work in it." Her lip trembled. "But I'm your sister." "Yes," I said. "And that should have meant something before you betrayed me." She left without another word. 3 months later, life had settled. The house thrived, downstairs a bustling corporate hub, upstairs Grandma's sanctuary untouched. My parents still tried to bargain with Marcus. He refused every time. "Melissa?" Without parental money, without protection, she cracked. Her work faltered. Jennifer Wu confided in me one afternoon in the garden. "She's on a performance plan. She's never actually had to work before." By Thanksgiving, silence. By Christmas, one text from Mom, "You're missing Melissa's engagement party." I didn't reply. Instead, I gained peace. Mornings with coffee in Grandma's garden. Evenings with her books. A life that finally belonged to me. 6 months later, Melissa was fired. Mom called, furious. "This is your fault. Seeing you every day destroyed her performance." "No," I said quietly. "Her performance was her responsibility." "Family helps family, Sarah," Mom shouted. "You taught me that," I said. "Just, not in the way you meant." Later, Marcus confirmed it. Melissa's termination was performance-based. Nothing to do with me. I knew. I'd heard enough through the vents to know she was coasting on charm in a job that required substance. That night, I found a box in Grandma's closet, letters she'd written to me but never sent. "My dearest Sarah, I watch them dim your light, and it breaks my heart. But I see the fire in you they're trying to extinguish. One day, you'll let it burn bright. Don't feel guilty. Take what's yours and build the life you deserve." She'd been planning this for years. When the company finally moved to a proper office, Marcus kept my lease intact. 10 years. Security. Stability. Freedom. Melissa texted me, "You won. Happy?" I replied, "No. I'm free. There's a difference." And as I tended Grandma's garden that spring, surrounded by neighbors who finally treated me like I belonged, I realized something. My parents had lost everything: status, control, reputation. Melissa had lost her safety net. But me? I hadn't lost a thing. I'd gained everything. Because Grandma was right. The best revenge isn't screaming. It isn't cruelty. It's a legally binding contract.